Gervonta Tank Davis. Pay-per-view numbers against Frank Martin are in, or at least a credible report of them are in, and proves what I thought about him, which is that this dude is most definitely, if not the biggest name in American boxing or the biggest name in boxing, he is right there with very, very good numbers considering the circumstances that he fought in. Now, let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Gervonta Davis and the Frank Martin fight and what it means, the pay-per-view numbers that have been reported, and what my take on it is and what I think it means about Gervonta Davis and about the lightweight division moving forward. And in short, it's huge that the numbers that were given for him, which were between 325,000 and 350,000 for a fight with Frank Martin, is big. And it just takes a little bit of thinking and understanding how pay-per-view sales go over the course of most pay-per-view fighters' careers and the ups and downs that you will experience. And what it means when you fight somebody that is not a name at all and you do that type of number. Now, before I get into it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And thank you so much to everybody that supports the channel, especially in the super thanks. Hadn't had a chance in the last couple of videos to thank you guys, but thank you all immensely. But let's get into it because, you know, there's the flop narrative that goes around a lot in boxing. So I was waiting for a reasonable report about what Gervonta Davis's numbers were. According to Dan Rayfield, he says that the numbers that he'd been told is between the numbers of 325,000 and 350,000. Now, that is down from the 1.2 million that he did in his last fight against Ryan Garcia. But in the fights before that, it's significantly up, if you believe the numbers from Dan Rayfield, where Gervonta does somewhere in the 200,000 pay-per-view ranges for his pay-per-views, 5 or 6 pay-per-views before that, right? So why do I say that that is a really big deal? Because if you look at the number of, let's take 350,000. That's 350,000 without a big name opponent, or even really an opponent that had ever really been known by anybody that was buying those fights, right? Now, I like Frank Martin a lot as a fighter, but Frank Martin is pretty much an undercard fighter. And I think he did headline his last fight, but he's only, 18, 19 fights. Had never really been on the big stage before, wasn't really a known commodity. So when you see that Gervonta Davis sold 350,000 tickets or 350,000 pay-per-view sales, you have to say that's all Gervonta Davis. So those are diehard Gervonta Davis fans. And when you have a base of, and say, call that his base of pay-per-view buyers, a base of 350,000 pay-per-views that will buy buyers that will buy your fight against anybody, means that if you bring in another fighter with even a decently sized fan base of their own, or come from a demographic that like really wants you to lose, you could easily get up to 500, 600,000, 700,000 pay-per-views just by having a slightly bigger fight. Now, when you're looking at those type of numbers, you're looking at Canelo Alvarez type of numbers for a pay-per-view fight against a top level fighter that people know. You're looking at something like the Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant, where Caleb Plant, I think they might have done 800,000 with Caleb Plant, but I think Caleb Plant was a little bit better known, had headlined some more cards than Frank Martin had. You also look at like the ups and downs of the pay-per-views that every fighter has, right? You have Floyd Mayweather Jr., who will do, did, I don't know, was it 4 million pay-per-views against Manny Pacquiao? But then the numbers came down for Andre Berto down to like 350, 400,000, right? So you see those ups and downs. But when you can sell 350,000 pay-per-views on your own, you're a legitimate pay-per-view player. And so for that fight, because I don't think that they could have predicted or hoped for much more than that out of a Frank Martin fight, they had to be happy. Now, people, if you want to compare that to the Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia fight, I'm going to already tell you, I don't care what people say about the numbers for Ryan and Devin, because there were people that were throwing around under 200,000 pay-per-views for under 200,000 for Gervonta Davis, or they will say the people that say 750,000 for Devin and Ryan. No. And I'm going to tell you how we know that that's not the case, because Oscar De La Hoya said there was no payout on the back end for that fight. So how can you do 700,000 pay-per-views and they're not have any pay and have no payout, right? Now, if you do the math on how much money this is at the gate for Gervonta, and you do 350,000 times 80, because that's how much the pay-per-view was, 79, but let's just roll up to 8. That's $28 million. Plus he had a $14 million gate. So that is a $42 million fight with that level of money, right? That is a $42 million fight off those numbers. That right there tells you there's going to be back end paid. If you have, say, 50% of the pay-per-view, which I don't believe is that much during this Amazon distribution type of stuff, but let's just say, 50% of that goes to the fighters and 50% of the gate, right? And you had a guarantee of $1 million or $1.5 million. That's going to be really good money for Gervonta. So those numbers did not do that well if you have $1 million purse guarantees, $1.5 million guarantees for Ryan and Devin, but it doesn't pay anything out on the back end. Yeah, you pretty much know right there that it didn't pay out, so the numbers could not have been that good. So all in all, I think it was very good numbers. It's about what I expected, 350,000, maybe 400,000. There's some people that are going to say that the numbers were slightly higher than that. I can't speak on it either way. However, to me, looks like a good show, and we got a star in boxing. Again, and this is even more exceptional when you consider that this is at the lightweight division. Lightweights don't sell like this. This is not the heavyweight division. This is not the welterweight division. This is the 135-pound division. It is highly unusual for there to be a fighter that is selling these type of pay-per-view numbers in the United States at the lightweight division. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.